Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the middleweight division, Joseph Holmes versus Claudio Ribiero. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Claudio Ribiero to win here. I feel like Joseph Holmes is seemingly the more well-rounded fighter, but I just think Claudio Ribiero is the better overall fighter, or at least the better fighter as far as, where it matters. I feel like Holmes can have should have the BJJ advantage, but his offensive takedowns aren't really good. And then his striking is really limited for the most part. And we have seen him get outstruck by Jamie Pickett, which is also not a good look. I just feel like Ribiero will come up. He'll be the faster fighter. Probably give him a little bit of size, but again, it's not like Holmes is very strong or a great offensive wrestler, grappler, or anything like that. So I feel like Ribiero should be not to have too much issue with the size. Matter of fact, he might even be the stronger man out there, but he'll give him a little bit of size coming from welterweight to middleweight. But he'll be more fast and he'll be more technical, more explosive. I think he'll be able to chop down the long legs of Holmes and then, probably rip him to the body, then bring the shots up top and be able to put him away in the second round. So in this one, I have Claudio Ribiero via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, we have Zhao versus Rafael Esteban. And really here, my only issue with this one is maybe the lack of experience, lack of challenges for Rafael Esteban. And Zhumagulov definitely has all that experience and has fought some high-level talent. But that's about it. That's all I'll give Zhao Zhumagulov. As I said it from the very first moment I've seen Zhao Zhumagulov fight, probably his UFC fights and maybe I kind of just grazed past his fights in the past, before he came to UFC because he fought fighters that were formerly UFC fighters. I'm like, how does this guy beat this guy? Now watch the fights, like, yeah. But especially when I started to really focus on him when he did get to UFC and start studying him, all I see is Zhao Zhumagulov ever been, even at his best, is just a guy he's in the middle. He's durable. He has okay striking. He's not a guy you could easily just wrestle or something like that. He's good. He's good enough. That's all I see. Like, he's good enough and he's tough. He's never been an exceptional striker, never been an exceptional wrestler, never been an exceptional grappler, like submission artist, never had exceptional power. It's just like he just good enough. He don't get ran over typically. Well, now he's trying to get to that point in his career where he's starting to get ran over. But yeah, he's not going to get ran over, but he's not going to major. And maybe they'll judges will, in a couple of his fights, he did get gifted a couple of decisions, before he got to the UFC over better names. I feel like he clearly lost what they gave him because he was tough enough. He stuck around. Maybe that shocked some people. But yeah, that's all he is. He's just tough and good enough. That's all he ever been. I just feel like Rafael Esteban, I see ability. I see solid striking. I see solid submission skills, solid overall skills. And I just feel like he's just much sharper, riding better steam right now. And I feel like he should be able to pick apart Zhao Zhumagulov and take full advantage of Zhao Zhumagulov being a punching bag out there and be able to get him out of there in the second round. Should be able to just pick him apart, be faster, be sharper, be fresher, and should be able to dominate Zhao Zhumagulov where this fight takes place. And I'm going second round TKO. So in this one, I have Rafael Esteban via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Ikram Serov versus Phil Hawes. And how I feel about this one, now I will say this is low confidence here for Ikram Serov. Because so far he has just not shown me nothing, like, at least especially in this matchup. If he was going there with some guy that couldn't wrestle and had zero submission skills, I'm like, oh, it's easy money for Ikram Serov. But the fact that it's two grapplers that turn, really, I say Ikram's still more so a grappler than a striker. And Phil Hall, obviously a solid wrestler as well. And, he starts to see his striking come along more. Yeah, that's what's tough. Like, both of these guys kind of have more so coming from a grappling background than striking. It's not a case of Ikram going there with a guy that has no wrestling, no jiu-jitsu. Phil Hall, I think to this date still has, well, at least in the UFC, still has 100% takedown defense ratio. So he could, at the very least, and also when he has lost, it has been striking. It hasn't been a case, he went out there and lost too because the guy take him down and tap him out. Like, he can't defend the takedown. He got no sub defense. It hasn't been that. It's been like his chin's a little bit questionable. Maybe his heart's a little bit questionable. Durability a little bit questionable, but his wrestling has not been in question. Maybe cardio been in question. So when I look at this past the victory for Ikram Serov, I feel like so far Phil Hawes has shown better striking for me between the two. And also the biggest thing for Ikram Serov is the fact that he defended a couple of Khamzat Chimaev's takedown. That's the biggest accomplishment in his career. But yeah, I'm not going to drag this one on too much. I'm leaning Ikram Serov. I'm riding the hype a little bit here. And I'm going to say he's going to win via TKO. I think it's going to be a case of where it's going to be a dog fight. But I think, again, Phil Hall's durability is not going to be there for him. And also, Phil Hall in general just not a guy you can really trust. So it seemed like a good spot to lean Phil Hawes, but can you really ever trust Phil Hawes, especially in a fight where he's going in with this very, a guy with a lot of attention behind him and expect him to be the guy to come out here and upset him and like, yeah, y'all were wrong. Y'all were hyping up another person who don't deserve hype. Yeah, I can't trust him in that spot, so that's another reason. Durability and just lacking the track record to pull off upsets. So I'm going to go Ikram Serov. I feel like it's going to be a scrappy fight. But I think, again, Phil Hall's durability and toughness is going to fail him. I'm going to say like a back and forth first round, maybe Hall's round. But then he starts to fade and Serov turns it up and puts him away second round. So in this one, I have Ikram Serov via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the heavyweight division, Parker Porter versus Braxton Smith. And how I feel about this one is I'm going Braxton Smith to beat Parker Porter. I feel like Parker Porter's getting up there in age. I feel like he never really had the best chin to begin with. And coming off a brutal loss, returning too soon. And Braxton Smith, I feel like he may not be the most technical fighter, the most this, most that, but I feel like he has enough. I feel like he's explosive enough, has enough power. And again, it's not like Parker Porter is the most technical fighter. Parker Porter is overall the more tactical, better fighter, you could say. But at the end of the day, this is a fight. And also at the end of the day, Parker Porter ain't like this super sleek defense fighter, ain't this super high IQ, it's not no, like I said, there's a gap or there's like a little small gap, but it's more than jumpable, overcomable for Braxton Smith. Is all I'm saying. Like he's a little bit better technically, but it's not enough. And I feel like Braxton Smith should be explosive enough, aggressive enough, and have the power to be able to touch Porter and get him away in the first round. So in this one, I have Braxton Smith via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Marina Rodriguez versus Verna Jandiroba. And how I feel about this one is I'm going Marina Rodriguez. I feel like Verna Jandiroba is the more well-rounded fighter. I feel like she can find success in the takedowns, find success in the grappling, but Marina Rodriguez has fought some standout grapplers, even Mackenzie Dern, and I think Cynthia Calvillo and Michelle Waterson to an extent. And she has been able to survive, do what needs to be done, show smart, intelligent grappling defense, sub defense, and then be able to get back to her strong suit and win. And Verna Jandiroba at this level has shown issue at finishing, and her biggest issue for Verna Jandiroba has shown issue at keeping pace and whether showing that killer instinct to get a sub or finish opponent when they're dead to rights right in front of her, or seeing a fight that's very close to she's probably the more technical fighter, like say Mackenzie Dern or with the Mackenzie Dern fight, broke her nose, was picking apart, and then just let the fight slip away from her. She has a very bad tendency to let fights slip away from her. And I think the trend's going to continue. I feel like she might have some good moments early, but ultimately she's going to start to dip off, just start to, become complacent out there. And Marina Rodriguez is going to pick her apart, start to pick up the volume and outwork her and beat her to a decision. So in this one, I have Marina Rodriguez via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Chaos Williams versus Rolando Badoya. And how I feel about this one is, I think Rolando Badoya got a good skill set, good build to him, like good well-rounded fighter, good tough fighter. But I just think this is a very big step up for him that I don't think he's ready for. I think he's going to just see a fight that's like really better than him everywhere. I'm not going to say Williams grappling all that well, but I feel like as far as getting takedowns, defending takedowns, I think Williams will win that battle and be able to shut down Badoya's takedowns, and maybe if he wants to score his own takedowns. But I just really think it's more going to be a sprawl and brawl type affair for Chaos Williams. And I just think he's going to be too fast, too sharp, hands too heavy, too technical on the feet. And I think he's going to stop Badoya in the first round. So in this one, I have Chaos Williams via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Devin Clark versus Kennedy and Chikwu. And how I feel about this one, or Nze Chikwu, or Nze Chikwu. But yeah, how I feel about this one, I'm going Kennedy and Chikwu to win. Nze Chikwu. I'm not going to say Nchekwu. Even though that's not his name, that's really like what, Tafon Nchukwu. Your name will be Nchukwu today. But anyway, Devin Clark versus Kennedy Chikwu. How I feel about this one? Yeah, I'm going, again, I just said the same thing like 4 times, like I'm on repeat, like I'm glitching here. But yeah, I felt both of these people complete each other's stories. Devin Clark, against better competition, I think, or typically better competition, Devin Clark has a tendency to look pretty good early, then fade. And Kennedy Chikwu against better competitions or tougher competition or closer matchups tends to look bad early, then come on late. I feel like it's going to be a case of that. I feel like Devin Clark's going to be able to mix it in well, get some takedowns early. Kennedy Chikwu probably do a better job of defending takedown than in the past in past fights for him. Like, he's a younger fighter. He's getting better and better. So his wrestling defense, especially he's going to be expecting from Devin Clark, do a better job of defending, but still get taken down. But that defending and that improvement is going to cause Devin Clark to have to work harder. And even in general, every fight starts standing. So he's going to have to come beyond the distance of Chikwu's long arms, all that length. Probably take a couple shots, but get the takedown early. But it's going to be some work behind that. So getting touched up by shots, getting in, having to work for the takedown, that's going to worry on him. And then he's going to start to fade off a little bit. The takedown become harder. And Chikwu going to start to get a better read for him. Going to start to touch him more. And he's going to have to eat more punches to get to these takedowns as the fight goes on. It's going to be harder and harder. And that's going to wear on him. So probably a Clark first round, a close toss-up second round. Then third round, Clark going to be probably mouth breathing. Kind of going to had to sit at the end of punches for a little bit more, try to catch his breath. And I think in that moment, Kennedy and Chikwu is going to start to turning up on him. And Clark is not going to have the defense or the skill to really avoid the punches and shots and just get picked apart at the end of all that reach and all that range and get stopped in the third round. So in this one, I have Kennedy Chikwu via third round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the prelim headliner in the lightweight division, Drew Dober versus Matt Frevola. And how I feel about this one is I'm going Drew Dober here. I feel like Matt Frevola has a wealth of skills. And even if he does use all his skills, I still think Drew Dober should win this one. But what I'm getting to with this point is that I feel like Matt Frevola has a wealth of skills, but he has a tendency to get caught up in these firefights. And I know he's saying Drew Dober has never felt power like I have. I'm going to stop him, be the first one to knock him out or something like that. But I know what his mindset going to be. If he's saying that, maybe he's trying to reverse psychology and it's going to try to grapple in this one. But yeah, if he fights smart, I feel like Drew Dober wins. I feel like he fights dumb, which he most likely will. He's most likely even more so going to lose. Because he goes out there fighting like he fought in his last fight, in the last couple fights, and end up there trading. Drew Dober is literally a chin. He's 99% chin. So you want to trade with a chin, this is not a bad look. It's not like Frevola has the greatest chin. So Frevola's chin more on the questionable side, and Dober's chin is on the certified side. And he definitely the more technical striker and the heavier-handed fighter. And also for a better competition, be better competition, higher ranked, all that, et cetera, et cetera. He's going to knock Frevola out. They're going to get in a trading fight. Frevola might land clean. It might buckle him for a little bit, but Dober going to recover in like half a second or a split second and touch Frevola. And Frevola ain't going to recover like Dober is. He going to receive those shots as well as Dober will. And I'm saying first round knockout. And if he does try to fight smart, I feel like Dober's takedown defense has been improving over time. And when you really look at the people who have had good success taking Dober down, it's like the elite of the elite. Islam Makhachev and Benil Dariush. And Matt Frevola is a solid fighter, but he is not to that caliber. And I know that's for sure. So yeah, even if he tries to fight smart, I feel like Dober will do a good job of defending his takedowns, getting back to his feet. Then on the feet, I just feel like he has a clear advantage and should be able to put him away. And I'm still going to lean first round. I just feel like Frevola, even though if he tries to reverse psychology, I feel like he'll end up going back into a firefight in this one and getting knocked out regardless in the first round. So in this one, I have Drew Dober via first round TKO. Now to our main card, we have in our first fight on the main card in the featherweight division, Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. And this is a low confidence pick right here. I just feel like Jourdain is not this really trustworthy fighter, but he is fighting Kron Gracie off like a 3-4 year layoff. Kron Gracie still is a very one-dimensional fighter. He's pretty tough. He's game. That's goes in the Gracie bloodline. They would rather get choked to sleep or get their arms and limbs and legs and everything snapped before they quit, or before they tap, or I guess quit in their mind. But yeah, I'm saying all to say all that. I just feel like, yeah, Kron Gracie's more, as far as his striking goes, he's more tough than technical on his feet. I feel like Jourdain, he has had issues with some grapplers in his careers, or, with grappling in his career at points. I'm not saying he has like a notable track record of getting taken down and sub, but we have seen him get wrestled before at lightweight on short notice. We have seen him give up like a whole round on the bottom, I think, to Shane Burgos and stuff. But when we look at the people, and also in his last fight, we have seen him get his back taken, etc. But it hasn't been against necessarily a one-dimensional. Matter of fact, it has never been against a one-dimensional fighter. All these people he has been fighting have been mixed martial artists, and like they have had full round of skills to like really technical, real solid games. And like it wasn't just a case, I just took your back, I just take you down. It was, or I just used my face as a punching bag and I got it on the inside, clinch you up, and then I took you down. It's been actual clean, fundamental striking and blending the arts together to get to these positions. It hasn't been like this literally just going like you a 90s fighter, like in a tournament, like where your martial arts aren't fully there. You like this one-dimensional fighter. It's been actual well-rounded, modernized artists, not people that's stuck in the past. Like Gracie just straight out of a time machine. Like matter of fact, he looked less dimensional than Royce Gracie. Royce Gracie actually had kicks and different stuff to set it up. Like Kron Gracie looked even less developed than Royce Gracie was in the 90s. So yeah, I'm going Jordan here to beat him by decision. Gracie's tough. I think the threat of takedowns will keep him in the fight. And again, tough. It's not like he's completely limited to have no striking or anything, but it's still very severely underdeveloped. I think Jordan just going to show that he's just more well-rounded, and he's been active, and that should get him over against Gracie. So in this one, I have Charles Jordan via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Movsar Evloev via. I'm already predicting him to win like before the prediction even come out. Like, forget it. Who he fighting, it don't matter. Movsar Evloev via first round sub. But yeah, let me actually say the prediction. Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopez featherweight division. As you already know, before I even got to my prediction, I'm already declaring him the winner. So this is a lock pick. Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopez. A lot of confidence here. Diego Lopez is not to this level. He coming up on short notice. Like he didn't even deserve to be in the UFC, to be honest. I mean, I'm not saying he don't deserve in the UFC, but he didn't earn his right in the UFC, or did not earn his spot in the UFC. And now he getting this fight on short notice, and he jumping in here with a guy that's like really like one fight off of a title shot, basically. One or two fights off a title shot. Really one fight if he has a statement performance. And this probably was the fight he was looking to make a statement performance against Bryce Mitchell, but Mitchell fell out. So he's already coming in here probably the best shape of his career, looking to probably stop Mitchell or something like that, or really dominate Mitchell. And then he gets Lopez here, who, like I said, probably wouldn't even be like top 15 in the UFC weight class. So yeah, I think Evloev is going to be too much. I think Evloev is going to beat him in striking, beat him in grappling, but most importantly in grappling. I think he should be able to mix it up, drag him to the mat, pound him up, and I say stop him. I'm going to say in the first round. I think Evloev is going to go, even though he's usually a decisionator, I think he's going to go for a statement because he's getting up there in the rankings, and this is now the time to make statements. And what a better chance. You get a fighter that's not on your level, coming in on short notice. I think Evloev is going to make a statement, go out there and dominate Lopez and get him out of there. And I'm going to say second round sub for Evloev. I just think, again, Diego Lopez has nothing for him. So in this one, I have Movsar Evloev via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the strawweight division. We have, women's strawweight division. We have Jessica Andrade versus Zhao Nanyan. And how I feel about this one is I'm going Jessica Andrade. I feel like Zhao Nanyan could definitely pose some issues for Andrade on the feet. But I think Andrade has looked pretty good against everyone that's not a former world champion, except Blanchfield, as far as, 25 and 15. 125, 115. 135, she had lost to Pennington and maybe another fighter, but 125 and 115, outside of Blanchfield, she had looked good, her last fight. And I think going down to 115, her strength will be there more. Well, at least she'll be stronger. It's not like her strength will be there more. She'll just be stronger because she's fighting a smaller woman. They're going to she can keep her on with Zhao Nanyan. I think she could beat Zhao Nanyan on the feet, or, kind of be a little bit behind Zhao Nanyan on the feet. But I think in the grappling, I think Andrade should have a big advantage. And I feel, strength, grappling should be a big advantage for Jessica Andrade. I'm not saying that's going to be her main approach, but I think she could get in there, blitz her. Sometimes use her bully tactics. So, at times she had fighters that maybe been a little bit sharper than her on the feet, or maybe the striking wasn't going her way. It's not like she's going there with no black belt or nothing like that. So she should feel more than comfortable to mix up with Zhao Nanyan anywhere this fight takes place. Whereas Zhao Nanyan, I feel like she's largely just going to be striking. I don't feel like her wrestling is going to be anything for her in this fight. She ain't going to have no grappling advantage. So it's really going to be pure striking from Zhao Nanyan and hoping to defend the takedowns and then use her lymphing out striker. Whereas Andrade could look to box her, work on outside, inside, takedowns, grappling. Yeah, so Zhao Nanyan more limited in this one. I think Andrade is going to go back to bullying tactics, look to blitz her way in, pick her up, scoop her up, slam her on the ground, probably batter her body, land some big shots to wear down Zhao Nanyan, and give Zhao Nanyan some different reads, some different looks. So then Zhao Nanyan starts to defend the takedown more and start to bring shots over top. Ultimately, I think, again, it's going to come down to Jessica Andrade's bully tactics, mixing it up, takedowns, ground and pound control, working the inside, landing big power shots, and just being the better overall package here and doing more than Zhao Nanyan and getting her hand raised in a decision. So in this one, I have Jessica Andrade via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the welterweight division between Bilal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Bilal Muhammad to beat Gilbert Burns. At first, I was leaning Gilbert Burns. If like you watched my pre-fight video, or technically my before I go wrong video, but now it's called pre-fight, I was leaning Gilbert Burns. But after looking at it a little bit more, and the fact that it's 5 rounds, I'm going Bilal Muhammad, and I'm going decision. Bilal Muhammad is typically a decision fighter. This is a tough matchup, so likely going decision no matter who wins this one. But again, going Bilal Muhammad, I think 5 rounds favors him much more than it does Burns. And I think Bilal Muhammad is more technical on the feet than him. And I feel like Bilal Muhammad has good enough takedown defense and good enough grappling to be able to thwart the grappling of Burns, be able to stuff his takedowns. And if Burns is able to get a good takedown, maybe even good advantageous position on the ground as well, I think Bilal Muhammad should be solid enough, tough enough as well, skilled enough and tough enough to, survive these exchanges on the ground. Like when they do happen, or if they do happen, I'm not saying that's a guarantee that happen. But I feel it might be at least one chance, like probably 1 to 2 times it might occur that Burns will get a takedown, will get good position on the ground. And Bilal Muhammad will be able to work his way back to feet, maybe one of those Cajuns. Another one maybe be able to survive like a remaining minute, 2 minutes of that, or maybe be able to wait it out and then be able to change positions. But I'm just saying, if it does come out, I feel like ultimately Muhammad should be able to address the wrestling of Burns and should be able to address the grappling of Burns. Not saying he should play fire with it, but he should be able to be comfortable enough to address it. On the feet, I think Bilal Muhammad is the more technical fighter. I feel like Burns is the more lethal fighter in the grappling and in the striking, but I feel like Muhammad is the more, in the striking for sure. And overall, he's the more composed, more technical fighter. Grappling, obviously, Burns is the more complete grappler and all that stuff. But striking, overall MMA, I would say Bilal Muhammad. I think his footwork's better. I think he picks the shots better. I feel like Burns relies a lot on his athleticism. I feel like he relies a lot on his power, his explosiveness. I feel like he has bad tendencies to drop his hands and to swing big shots, like fully extended arm, chin hanging out there, hooks. But again, he got power. He's explosive. He's fast. But I think Bilal Muhammad will do a better job to keep his hands up, use the footwork, mix in kicks, work behind the jab, where Burns going to look to explode in, doing one shot at a time, maybe a couple little flurry combinations, but for the most part, really just swinging big one-punch shots with a lot of speed and power. And Bilal should be able to be on those toes and be able to avoid and circle away from the power, avoid the big shots, and just pick apart from distance. Pick and choose the shots better. Whereas Burns, again, not really picking his shots that much, but loading up on a lot and missing, or not really landing clean because Bilal Muhammad's gonna be prepared for that, and then maybe try and swing it wide and then blast a shot again. But Muhammad's saying these big telegraph shots, but Burns gets away with these big telegraphs because he's so fast and explosive. And also a lot of times these guys aren't prepared to deal with his wrestling, his grappling, and his striking, so he could afford to maybe be a little bit sloppy because, again, he's not going with guys that's prepared for that. So he can get away with maybe a sloppy strike because now they're worried about his wrestling and the shots open up. Or maybe afford to maybe explode from a farther distance with his shots because people worry about his power. But a guy that can be prepared for both of those things, defending the striking, avoiding being on his toes, like Bilal Muhammad can, it's going to be harder for him to do those things that he has been so successful against other competition. And ultimately, I think Bilal Muhammad should be able to extend him out of the first couple rounds. And not to say that Burns is going to fade off, but I think as the fight goes on, that speed and power is definitely not going to be there as much, and he's going to be even easier to read. And I think Bilal Muhammad starts to really turn it up on him later in the fight. Not saying he puts him away, but I do think he starts to break away from him in a pretty close fight where I feel like it could easily be 2-2 going into the 5th round. It could easily be 1-1 going into the 3rd round or something like that. But I feel like definitely 4th and 5th, I feel like Bilal Muhammad starts to take it away from Burns, and I think he beats him via decision. So in this one, I have Bilal Muhammad via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the bantamweight division for the undisputed bantamweight title between Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo. So we got the reigning bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling versus the former bantamweight champion Henry Cejudo, and the former flyweight champion Henry Cejudo, and the former double champ, triple C Henry Cejudo. So good matchup here. I'm going Aljamain Sterling. I gave Henry Cejudo all those props right there. This really just giving his own accolades out, but announcing like I'm Bruce Buffer or something. But yeah. All that being said, I'm going with Aljamain Sterling here to beat Henry Cejudo. I think Henry Cejudo's a stud, but I gotta go Aljo here. I feel like the layoff will affect him. And I feel like even before the layoff, at one point these guys were supposed to fight when Cejudo was a champion. He basically retired, so the fight didn't happen. Or he was supposed to fight Petr Yan or Sterling. Like that's pretty much his option to fight next after beating Dominic Cruz, and he chose retirement. And but I always feel like Sterling was a tough matchup for him. Like retirement or not retirement, it was a tough matchup for him. And now returning, it's an even tougher matchup. Sterling's very awkward. He's long. He's the bigger man. And yes, Cejudo might have more power. Yes, he might be more technical on the feet. Maybe more. I'm not gonna say more technical on the ground. More technical wrestler and more technical striker. Definitely Sterling's the more technical grappler or submission grappler between the two. But yeah, Sterling can load up the clock. I mean, he can load up the point board. Like he could throw a lot of kicks out, throw a lot of volume, and definitely pile up points. And he's very awkward at it, and he knows what he's doing with his awkwardness. It's not a case he's just awkward and just doesn't know what he's doing. He's awkward and he knows what he's doing. So it's a dangerous combination. Like you might say, oh, this guy is just sloppy, don't know what he's doing. But some people use that slop or that awkwardness to their advantage. And that Sterling is one of those people. Like he could throw the front kicks, throw some weird slappy punches, then hit you with a spinning back elbow or spinning back fist or spinning back kick. You never know what's coming from him. And also Sterling, unlike some other Cejudo, unlike other Cejudo opponents, especially the flyweight Cejudo opponents, he can wrestle. And he's bigger than Cejudo. So I feel like Sterling could cause Cejudo issues in the grappling department as far as trying to score takedowns. And maybe Cejudo's going to go a striking approach in this one. And he was forced to go striking approaches a couple fights, early on with Marlon Moraes and the Cruz fight. Because you all know with these bigger guys who can grapple as well. So the wrestling not is there as much. And also you're not the bigger guy no more. So you can't like say in the Mighty Mouse, he kind of bullied the Mighty Mouse a bit with the wrestling. But now you guys are bigger in their tactical and grappling department. So it's not as easy as a plan B as it was at flyweight. Yeah, now you're throwing the layoff. The fact that Sterling is longer, bigger, been active, getting better and better with each fight. I just feel like Sterling can win this fight on the feet and he can win this fight on the ground. He can win this fight on the feet, just outworking, outvaluing Cejudo. And you might say, oh, he got tired in the Yan fight. But in the Yan fight, he was kind of almost forced to wrestle. Because Yan, I think, is still a better striker than Cejudo. Like, no insult to Cejudo, but Yan is a bigger fighter and he's a more technical striker than Cejudo is. So styles make fights. But against Cejudo is still probably the more dangerous striker between the two. But Sterling can afford to strike with him more so. And we have seen Sterling be able to go in fights where he, like, throw a whole lot of volume and win, like the Munoz fights and, some of these fights. But, some of the other fights. But definitely the Pedro Munoz fights come up where he do a lot of volume. And it was still good. It was in the case, it's the wrestling that's more tiring than the striking, is all I'm saying for Sterling. So I feel like Sterling can afford to strike more in this one. And maybe not even be that aggressive with the grappling against Cejudo. Maybe let Cejudo initiate the grappling and let Cejudo initiate the grappling, then take advantage of Cejudo's injuries, and then use his jiu-jitsu to take advantage of the grappling situation or gain the advantage in the grappling with his BJJ to beat Cejudo. And Cejudo even mentioned in a couple of his videos that his grappling is his weakest area. Like he doesn't really like to do it. He likes to just wrestle. He hasn't really became too comfortable in the grappling department. I know he probably worked on that, but I still feel like it's not going to be this overnight thing. And I don't feel like at this point in his career, he's not going to become his BJJ is never really going to get to this level as a fighter. Maybe as a coach, he will get to that level, but as a fighter, I only think he's only going to get to a certain level. So I think Sterling should have a huge advantage in the grappling, the BJJ. And with that size and his craftiness, should be able to take advantage of that against Cejudo. But I think this will be a good, scrappy fight. But I think Sterling, again, will be able to outvalue him. Cejudo landing bigger shots, but Sterling being awkward and unorthodox, landing volume, outlanding Cejudo. And then in the grappling, I think Sterling should be able to score some takedowns and put Cejudo in positions that's going to make him uncomfortable. And also I think he'll be able to use Cejudo's wrestling to, again, turn his takedowns against him and obtain advantageous positions over Cejudo. Ultimately, I think he starts to really secure top position more in that second round. It makes Cejudo lose focus, lose confidence, been in positions he hasn't been put in the cage, and also having, returning after this long layoff. And then in the third round, I feel like he's able to secure the back position and tap Cejudo out in the third round. So in this one, I have Aljamain Sterling via third round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo. And as always, thanks for watching.